hit the water. Paddle and fin, where the vibe gets hotter. Kayak fishing, straight talk, hear the stories unfold. Salt and freshwater adventures bold. With multiple hosts, yeah, the crew's all here. Casting lines in rivers, no need for fear. From the east to the west, we're making waves. Join the tournament hype, see how it raves. Paddle and fin, we're on the go. From the lakes to the oceans, let the good times flow. Fishing tales and triumphs will paint the scene. Give reviews and profiles, you know what we mean. Bring special guests, every episode shines. This is kayak fishing, where the world aligns.
Hey guys, welcome to the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast. John Rapp here. Thought I would do a show again today, talk a little bit about this polar vortex that we've just had and the challenges that it's going to cause for the guys heading south. So, without further ado, let's kick off this show and see what happens.
Rolling out strong with the Rusty Hook crew. It's Big Daddy John Rapp bringing the truth to you. Kayak fishing warriors, we ride the waves. Tournament tales, repping the way that we play. Jackhammers pounding, testing our skill. Net rig slaying, getting our thrill. Tackle tips sharper than the blades in the game. We're all in this together, always chasing that fame. Rusty Hook Podcast, let's break the mold. Fishing straight talk, let the stories unfold. From the riverbanks to the ocean wide. In the world of the kayak, we take pride.
Alright guys, hey, John Rapp here. Glad to have you with me here today. And so, this polar vortex that we've had it's been something else. I think today is the first day in the last 10 days here at the house in West Virginia that we've had above freezing, and it's only supposed to get close to 40. So I had my water freeze up for about a couple hours until we jumped on it and got it hit the spot where we knew where it froze up and got it thawed out. But yeah, it's been cold, and I know you guys have watched the most recent Bassmaster show down at Kissimmee here the past couple days, where they have been fishing, and they got hammered down there. They got hit with this vortex, freezing temperatures, below freezing in some areas down there. As you can see here, you know that vortex, it went down into the Florida area, but you can see that it's still moving. It's coming back up, and we're expecting more snow here in our area here in the Mid-Atlantic, West Virginia area. Northern area is supposed to get a bunch. So, but yeah, we know that Attorney X, and we got another episode of the first major fishing kayak tournament of the year, and I just thought we would talk about what they're going to face down there. Now, the weather has changed and it's improved down there, but the bass may take a day or two or longer to kick back into feeding. We all know that this time of year down there, that it's spawn time, or it's pre-spawn, getting ready to spawn. The fat girls are moving. The bucks are running in there and setting up nests. So it'll be interesting how they can see it. If you caught some of the Bassmaster stuff that was online or on TV the past few days, there were some big fish caught. They were all caught early, and then a couple of the bigger fish were caught in the mid-afternoon. So it's going to be a good tournament. You know, that chain down there is known to have an average of 3-pound fish. So I'm looking forward to seeing how to play. And my thoughts on it are, with this extreme cold that they just had, it is going to be challenging. for maybe right now, maybe the practice period. And if you've been a tournament fisherman, you really, when you have these kind of changes in weather, you might as well throw out what you've learned the first few days, because as the water temperatures move and they move upward, the fish are going to move inward. So it'd be interesting. I mean, if you watch the techniques that were being on display today or the past few days, those guys were throwing mid crankbaits, running it through the grass. The winner was throwing a 7.4 heavy with a fast tip, 7'4" with an 811 Abu Garcia retrieve, dragging his crankbait through heavy grass. Had a good explanation on that, on his method and how it worked for him. If you want to go look at the episode it was on, I think yesterday or today, but toward the end of the show, he talks about his retrieve method. So it's a good thing to watch and good thing to learn from. Young man had a hell of a tournament. But so looks like, as of last count, there are 186 registered for the kayak fishing event. Somebody signed up from this morning, I think. Yeah, 186 anglers. So I see the Pennsylvania household of Abadanza, Klein, and Milstead that I fished with a couple years ago at Lake Murray in South Carolina. They all traveled for it, and I would watch all three of those guys do well. Pennsylvania fishermen. You got Jody Queen down there, Michael Ridenour, that are mentioned notable names from West Virginia. Jeremy Hudnall's even down there, an old-time angler from the WVKA days. And then a couple others. I think there's a total of 6 that I've seen. But I would keep an eye on Abadanza, Queen. I mean, Abadanza, of course, being the reigning kayak angler of the year for B.A.S.S. He should prove to be strong. And I feel like this tournament really may be in his wheelhouse. I was actually looking for a local angler who I thought, the way the conditions were playing out, it just, the bell rang. It was I felt like this was his good opportunity to go down and finish in a top 5. And he's done it before. That's Mark Edwards from down at Bluestone area. Mark is known to throw a spinnerbait, and it just seems like with these temperatures down there and the way the water is set up with the grass, that it would be in his wheelhouse. Now, these guys, they weren't able to fish with forward-facing sonar. I tried to look through the rules, and I don't know if the kayak anglers are allowed to use forward-facing sonar for this event, but the main guys were not allowed to. So if that's the case, a spinnerbait is going to be something huge in this event, in my opinion, or maybe even a chatterbait. But you're going to need something that can you can search water. So that would be a technique that I would expect guys to be doing, along with some types of crankbaits. But let's look at the research, do a little research here, what they're going to be facing, and of course that makes all the difference. Now, when you're looking at the Kissimmee chains, they're generally shallow. They average 5 to 12 feet deep. And in the canals, they can reach a little deeper. So that's something to look at. Especially, and this is the one thing that caught my eye, is the forecast. What did I do with it? The 10-day forecast for Kissimmee. Now, this one here on Friday or Thursday, going into Friday. Look at the temps. They drop significantly, and there's rain. 38 degrees overnight, so it's going to bringing that water temperature down. Now, according to the water temperatures right now at Kissimmee are around 62 degrees. Oh wait, that's the. I'm sorry, the water temperature is 73 degrees. Now, according to the Bassmaster guys, that's not accurate. So it'd be interesting to see if we hear from anybody that maybe down there can tell us. They were saying Toho was the warmest water, and it was right at 60 degrees. But that was right at daybreak. So there's going to be a huge flux in that temp too. And that's something that you got to pay attention to and plan your day out. Now you know all the kayak anglers that are down there, they pretty much they've been down there the past several years because we've had events down there over the past several years. And I expect, and right around this time frame too, so a lot of them are going to play into history, but you really have to fish the moment. History is great, but if the last year could have been in the 80s, 70s, 80s, this year in the 60s, temperature, weather, wind, barometric pressure, all that comes into play. Of course, we know that every day you have to put those into consideration, and I'm sure a lot of guys have plan A, B, and C's. I know when I would go, I would, but I always fished to my strength. So, in those type of waters, 7 to 12 feet of water would be ideal. But when the water temperatures drop and you only have that depth of water, it's hard to go look and find where a thermocline would be. And in Florida, how often are you really going to see flipping of water when the water temperatures are always warm? Not like what we see up in the mid-Atlantic, northern states, Midwest, where the weather really drops and changes and the water flips. So I feel like that these guys are going to have to move with the conditions and maybe make efforts to fish deeper during the morning and then move inland and hit pockets of water. We're looking at, and the other thing that comes into play too, it's not shown on this one, but is the moon phase, the major bite and minor bite. I saw it earlier. There it is, right there. Best bite times. So you got to keep the. Hey, and there's a Florida boy there, Nicholas. Give us some. He's a Miami boy. Good to hear from you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. But Nicholas, jump on there and throw some comments if you're still online with us, and tell us what you think the technique is going to be for down there. I feel like the water temperatures are going to be a little bit deep or a little cooler than typical, and that they may need to be throwing some crankbaits. And the northern guys, if you have it in your repertoire, I wouldn't be afraid to throw. Oh hell, it's a jerkbait, because those fish aren't going to be used to that type of swing in temperature in the waters, and you might need to throw that jerkbait out there because those smaller fish might be stunned from the change, which is easy feeding for the big girls. So, yeah, Nicholas, thank you, buddy. Look for clear water and be sure to find deep water. Also calm. Okay, technique wise, that would be perfect for a finesse fisherman if you're into the finesse scene. So consider that. But I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at, if it's me, it's grass. I'm gonna look at throwing some type of spinner bait. Probably with a gold leaf, little chartreuse in it, so it can be a little bit easier to spot along with that vibration. So thoughts on that, guys? I'd like to hear from you and hear your thoughts on that. But if you can see here on the screen, I'm gonna pull back up. Bite times. Bite times. Major time is not till toward the end of the day. Which means that's gonna keep moving into the evening. So the major times may catch up to them by tournament day for the first hours in the morning. It's showing for today 1 a.m. to 3:40 a.m. And then the minor times are from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. currently. So they may have a major time early in the morning and a minor time in the afternoon. Major and those are pretty accurate, folks. I've used those times myself. I've tracked when I've caught fish based off of it, and I think they're pretty accurate. For when the bites happen, based on that moon activity. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you have to think about this so far at this time. Take a quick break, and I'll be right back.
This is the Rusty Hook Podcast, supporting people and companies that support us. Feel free kayaks, paddle, pedal, or power, something for everyone. Dubro Fishing, manufacturer of fishing and marine products for freshwater and saltwater anglers. Big Lake Bait Company, Texas's #1 custom soft plastics bait maker. And B.A.S.S Adventure Resort, West Virginia's #1 go-to outdoor destination with whitewater, zip lining, and more. You're tuned in to the Rusty Hook Podcast. More than a podcast, but a way of life. From the biggest lakes to the smallest creeks, we are all things kayak fishing. Refresh that drink, turn up the volume, and feel the excitement. It's time for the second half of the show. Live, raw, and unfiltered. Now, let's join the one and only Big Daddy.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast. And we're talking about this vortex, this cold air, this cold weather, freezing temps, and how it's going to affect the first B.A.S.S event down at Kissimmee. 186 guys have made the trip. Should be a good event. I'm looking forward to watching how those guys progress as they hit the water. Right now, I'd say a lot of the guys are out fishing, scoping water, trying to find how the fish are moving, looking for bait balls to monitor, or not bait balls, but groups of fish. You're going to have the bucks. They're all staging and they're moving. So if you have been paying attention the past couple of days with the boat event, that just showed some big girls. Big girls have been caught. I expect some 7, 8, 9 pound fish to be caught when you have 186 anglers down there, and there's some good names that are going. I think we'll see it happen. Now, of course, kayak bass fishing is measured. So when we're talking those kind of weights, you're figuring those fish are going to be 22 to 24 inches long. And so that's what we'll look for. I suspect there'll be a few caught. Now, I'm going to pull up the map for the outlook for Saturday and Sunday. Let's see if it'll go that far up. Thursday. Nope. It will not. So let's go back to the 10-day forecast here. All right. Saturday. They're coming off of a Friday with a high temperature of 62, a low of 48. So it looks like it may dip down that night after that 62-degree day into a 43-degree morning. Dew points at 7% or rain. So it's all it looks like that front has moved out, and you're going to have 5 days of sun. Now you got waning gibbous, moonrise and moonset. Okay, so that not really gives us the details we need, but it does give you an idea of what you can expect. And the one thing as kayak anglers that you need to prepare for, and these guys, we know they're packed and they're ready, is that you want to be able to fish comfortable, because you want to be able to concentrate on fishing, not be cold. So I'm sure these guys are going to be layered and dressed well. It's not going to be miserable. Saturday, now Friday we got to look at this here. The winds could cause some interesting effects. You don't want to be out in heavy wind with a lot of chop. So that may keep guys in channels along the bank. So when they're making that plan when they hit the water, they may want to have where their plan A can escape to plan B quickly, which is move from open water and points to covered water in shallow areas. Saturday the 7th. No, not Friday's the pre-day. Is the last day. That prepares them for this. Looking at winds are actually slowing, so you can go back out and hit those open water areas out in the grass flats. Winds are 5 to 10 mile per hour. That's very easily manageable in a bigger boat. So I'd say with the early cooler window in the morning, the guys will focus on the deeper edges, brush piles, underwater points, maybe with big clumps of grass. And that's where I would be working that spinner bait or jackhammer, or if you have the right type of rod and reel, maybe throw a crankbait through there that you can get it out of that grass clean, or a heavy swim bait. And when you get around structure, one of the things that you might do is probe it vertically. I was watching a guy earlier today. I can't remember which fellow it was, but he was fishing, and it appeared that he was doing that. But I actually believe that he was throwing a jerk bait, and he was just popping it so it would pop up and then sink back down. I think he had a sinking bait on him. And the other thing is lipless crankbaits. So get those out and work them through that grass as well. Um, I think the guys are going to have to really work with their retrieve to figure out how the fish want to bite. So as the temperatures warm up, you might be able to slow down. Maybe. I think what I mean by slowing down is that's when you can pull the finesse stuff out and start throwing a wacky rigged worm, um, and work it along the edges of the grass. Let it sink in, depending on how much weight and how deep you want it to go. Um, I've always been my philosophy is to let it flutter down, and which normally means it's going to be rigged weightless or with very little weight. And, the other thing is when you're transitioning as the day goes along, hopefully the weather will stay constant. But that sun's moving up, it's shining more in the water, water temperature will be rising. You're going to be able to watch that. And as it rises, you're going to be able to change your focus and move a little bit shallower as the fish move in with, move to more of a square bill or shallow crank. And your presentation should be a steady mix, short retrieve, short bursts. That hopefully, and that's where that goes back to the guys that are throwing those. I always struggle with that because I don't fish that technique much of it. It's the jerk bait, because if you put on a jerk bait that sinks, if you got one that you want to have a slow flutter down, and then you jerk it up, and then it starts fluttering back down, it'll trigger some ambush. So I really was hoping I'd catch a few of you guys on here to assist me with your thoughts on this, but that's okay. It is what it is. But I wanted to talk. I just felt like with this polar vortex and the temperatures that they've had this past week, I mean, they had freezing temperatures almost all the way down into Miami. That doesn't. It's the first time that's happened down there in 15 years, and that they were talking about iguanas falling out of trees. They were freezing in the trees. So I mean, it is affecting them down there, and I truly believe that type of temperatures, air temperatures, it could trigger the big bite. It may not create a frenzy of activity for you guys that are down there, but I do feel like that the right bite is going to happen for some guys. They're going to figure it out, and there's going to be some big fish caught. And I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck. I'm going to play a video, my music video here for you real quick, and then we'll come back with some final thoughts, and I'll tell you how I would attack it, just personally. And I'll tell you right now, this time of year has never been my strength. I don't do well in January, February. When I travel, I normally don't do well at all. Uh, there's been events that I've only caught 4 or 5 fish over my whole trip. Um, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. But being that water down there fishes the way I like to fish, I'm gonna just throw out what I think I would do, and I would love to hear what you guys think.
Rolling out strong with the rusty hook crew. It's Big Daddy John Rapp bringing the truth to you. Kayak fishing warriors, we ride the waves. Tournament tails repping the way that we play. Jackhammers pounding, testing our skill. Net rig slaying, getting our thrill. Tackle tips sharper than the blades in the game. We're all in this together, always chasing that bang. Rusty hook podcast, let's break the mold. Fishing straight talk, let the stories unfold. From the riverbanks to the ocean wide. In the world of the kayak, we take pride. We take pride.
Okay, so let's talk about how I would handle the Kissimmee chain. So, first thing is I get on my Google Maps, and I'm going to look for areas that have stumps, stump beds, and weeds. And I'm talking more of not your hydrillas or your high producing, but I'm just talking weed beds. And or even some of those large trees, banks. I am really drawing a blank on the name of that tree right now, and I apologize. I'm just shooting out quick thoughts here, but I'm gonna fish stump piles down there, because I feel like with the change in the water temps that the fish are gonna be hugging things down there, looking for structure where the flux of the water temps doesn't change as much. I'm not much of a puncher, but I would definitely throw. I'm gonna have a wacky rig set up, and I'm gonna throw around the edges of the grass beds, weed beds, and stumps, and I'm gonna work them constantly. And what I would do, what I typically have done in the past, is I try to find an area of about 3/10 of a mile of water that I absolutely love. And I try to find 3 sections of it. So I'll go to the first section and I'll fish it. And if I'm catching fish, I don't leave it. I don't leave fish to find fish. If I'm not, I'll go to this next area of water. Hopefully it's within a quick 20-minute run with my NK300 and fish that area. But one of those 3 sections I'm going to fish and I will stay in, and I'll live by the sword or die by the sword there. And I'll probably have those areas will be scoped out that have 7 to 10 feet of water in the deepest areas and move shallow off points. I'll work those points. If they're rock and clay, I'll throw a Ned rig, and I'll throw something, or even throw a wacky rig plastic worm. I'll have a square bill tied on, and I'll work a square bill through there. My recent addition to my repertoire will be a chatterbait and or a spinnerbait will be thrown to do searching those shorelines and looking for bites. If it's the water's clean, and the temps are moving up to where they look like they're going to be on Saturday, a high of 70. It's going to be sunny. all that time, I'm going to work the shadows off the trees, and then I'm going to turn around and throw some type of top water mid-morning between 8:30 and 10 a.m. And the reason I target those times is that I'm waiting for the sun to come up just enough to create shadows in and around the water, to where I can throw things that will into those shadows and pull them out, and hopefully have that strike or reaction bite. That's some of the things that I would do. So I'm looking at 4 setups with a Ned rig or some type of rods with something that puts something on the bottom, a jig or something. And then I'm going to throw something weightless with the Texas rig Senko, or even a wacky rig setup. I'm going to throw some type of crankbait and some type of spinnerbait. And in the 5th rod, I will have a top water. So, I mean, it's all what we all do. Nothing new there. It's just maybe some of the baits that I would throw you wouldn't throw. And I look forward to a comment or two from you telling me what you guys would throw and how you would set it up. Your rigs. And if you would start off your morning with open water, or would you be along the bank in shallow? We're looking at 70 degrees on Saturday and 73 on Sunday. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. A little bit of rambling there, but I want to really go over my thoughts on how to do it. Hey, Roy, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, that helps. I don't know if I'd be one too close to the bank down there when you have a 12-footer coming chasing after you or something. The one of them dinosaurs. But I that's another thing. Because of the cold temps, guys, you're probably going to see the amphibians and the lizards buried up in the mud and not coming out to bother you. So have a little bit of peace of mind there, but always be prepared to put a paddle in the way, or keep something on you that you can keep any active critters off your boat. So, but be blessed. Make sure you wear the appropriate clothing for the water temps and air temps, and always wear your PFD. Stay safe. Be blessed, and we are out of here.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, for future shows, like, follow, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our individual channels and accounts too. Want to be a guest on one of our shows and talk about adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Thank you for watching the Chasing the Tide with Dustin Nichols, the Rusty Hook with John Rapp, the River Run with Adam Fraser Cross, the Real Backwaters with Daniel Whitcock, Chasing the 20s with Carlisle Esterly and Sean Lavery. Thanks for tuning into the Paddle and Fin Network. Subscribe and always wear your PFD.